everyone and welcome to Kubut. You know that Kubut is not only a co-working space, we organize events here as well. People say that events is the DNA of Kubut, and today we're welcoming Zach. He's going to share the tools to manifest the future. I'm personally very excited about it, so let's welcome Zach.
Thanks, Vera. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. There's not a lot of time to learn the tools to manifest the future, and I would like to take some time to let you all present a little bit of something about yourself. As a facilitator, I realize that my most important resource when I'm leading a group is the group itself, each of you as individuals. So I would like you all to say your name and what you dreamed of being when you were 13 years old. So we'll start over here, kind of go around.
Hello, I am Hara. When I was 13, I probably dreamed of being an actress. I spent a lot of time on stage, performing, and making everybody laugh.
Yay!
Not quite sure anymore, but there's definitely a comedian still in there.
Hi, my name is Tudor, and when I was 13, I actually was thinking about becoming a doctor.
Hi, I'm Terry. When I was 13, I wanted to be a surgeon. Yeah, and I took chemistry, and that was that. Yeah.
We got something in common then, for sure.
Hi, I'm Alice, and I just put oh God, I can't remember why it's being 13. I think it was probably being a singer, that kind of thing. I did end up being in a band, playing bass for 7 years, so I probably did sort of get there, accidentally. Oh, sorry.
Weirdo standing in the corner. No, sorry, I just like standing. I enjoy standing because like sitting all day, and I think, when I get the chance. No, I'm good. Anyway, so I'm Emma, and when I was 13, I wanted to be a professional photographer.
Thank you, Emma.
It didn't happen, but that's okay.
Not yet. Plenty of time.
Hi, I'm Donna. Really hard to remember what I wanted to do when I was 13. Sadly, I was in quite a dysfunctional family and there was a lot of dysfunction happening at the time, so I think there was a lot of confusion for me around that time. So I wasn't really clear really what I wanted to do at all. Yeah.
So, hello everyone, my name is Kashfi. When I was 13, I was dreaming to become a music promoter because I really like concerts so much since I was in junior high school. So I really want to make my own music festival since 13.
Hi, my name is Nicole, and when I was 13, I can't remember wanting to be anything in particular, but I remember really being sort of in my body and really sort of engaging with the world in a really sort of tactile and full-on sort of physical way, and I still want to do that today. Yeah.
Gavin, when I was 13, I wanted to be a robotics engineer and a rock star.
Wow. I didn't know robotics was around.
Yeah, it was very rudimentary ones.
Hi, I'm Maria. When I was 13, I guess I wanted to be a musician, which I still play music until now, but not really like a professional musician. So.
Hi, my name is Jing Jing. I really like painting in my childhood, but during my teenage time, I found my passion in cooking. So somehow I hope I can have my own restaurant and make food more colorful and it tastes very delicious.
Hi, my name's Kat. I think I wanted to be quite a lot of different things over the years. When I was 5, I definitely wanted to be a unicorn for a while. But then until the film The Last Unicorn, it had a really big effect on me. But when I was 13, I wanted to be either a lawyer or a historian. And lawyers because my dad wanted me to be a lawyer. But I'm actually now about to start my history masters, so I guess.
Thanks.
Hello everyone, my name is Vera, and I guess when I was 13 I really wanted to be a singer, to be on stage. I wanted other people to see me, to admire me.
It's a good 13-year-old goal.
Yeah.
It's very good in Leo, Vera.
I know. Now I know.
I'm Jessie, and when I was 13, I wanted to be a dancer. And I was really into modern dance, so I was very specific about the kind of dance. I didn't want to do like up there crazy jazz. I didn't want to do too classical ballet. I wanted to do a more expressive form of dance.
Which is how we met, so works out well. Welcome.
Hi, my name is Avi. I'm Indonesian. The question was when I was 13. I don't think I remember what I wanted, like I remember I wanted to be a teacher and a policeman. So, but then, like certain age, I don't know, but it's like something about that, like keeping the regulation or something, I don't know.
Have some power.
Yeah, maybe because I was the oldest in the family, like my parents always say, be a good example, blah, blah, blah. So that's all I could think of. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome. And my name is Zach, and I wanted to be a professional soccer player. I was going to be the goalie on the U.S. 1994 World Cup team. Yeah, didn't happen. It's okay. So thanks everybody for being here. I love asking people about their dreams, and particularly at that age of 13, which is when so many cultures pass people from childhood into adulthood, right? This time in which all these physiological changes are happening, and we're kind of leaving behind the playthings and reimagining ourselves in the world. It's a powerful moment, and the energy that comes into a room when we all go back to that place is something that I find really helps to get into a place where we can really explore our creativity a little bit more. So thanks for joining me here. We're here now. Welcome. And I'm gonna talk a little bit about creativity, and we're gonna play some games to experience it. And the most important, so I hope you leave here with 3 things today. I hope you leave here with an understanding of solar and lunar thinking. There's 2 different kinds of thinking that are critical to a creative process. I hope that you are able to recognize at least one of the blockages that you may have towards particularly doing this lunar thinking, which we'll get into in a minute. And I would also like you to come away with an idea of backwards design. And we'll get into that a little bit as well, but sort of strategic ways of using our solar thinking combined with our lunar thinking to come up with solutions that are really powerful. I truly believe that not everybody in government is bad, and they're not stupid. So what's the issue? Like, why are we not able to solve these problems that our world is facing? They're complex problems, and I think that the challenges that we're facing now, people are asking the wrong questions about. And so part of this process that we're going to be starting to explore today is about really understanding the context, taking a step back from our natural human intuition of solving things. We like to come up with solutions kind of right away, jump into solution. So this process is a process that was designed to help us take a step back from our natural instinct to solve, right? So if you're in the wrong place, you're welcome to leave now, now that we're clear on what we're doing. No hard feelings. And I really hope that we get there. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to practice a little bit of lunar thinking. And we're going to play a game to do this. So I invite you to, I'll explain it first, and then you're going to play it with a partner. So it's called Free Words. And the way you play is with a partner. You say words back and forth as fast as you can. Doesn't matter if the words have any relationship to each other or not. In fact, we can be playing in different languages. It's usually easier this game in your mother tongue. So if Jesse and I are going to play, we both speak English, so you'll understand it. That'll be good. I'm just going to say a word, and she's going to say a word back, and we're going to go back and forth as quickly as possible. Blue.
Hello.
Net.
Ivy.
Help.
Sunshine.
Wister.
Troll.
Cat.
Booger.
Simple, right? Okay, so try to play the game. Just go back and forth with each other as quick as you can. Turn to somebody next to you, find a partner.
Everyone's supposed to be linked, or you saying anyway?
No relationship necessary. They may be linked or they may not. The speed is what you're looking for. And Jesse, you can go with our latest edition. And Gavin, you two can go. And you.
Street. Bumblebee.
Keep it moving, fast. Faster, faster, faster. Okay, time out, time out, time out. Thank you, partner, for sharing with you. Okay, I want to hear, I want to hear. I want to hear. I want to hear how it went. How did it go?
It's quite tricky.
Tricky? What's hard about it?
It's opposition. Like it's natural. It's easiest to go for the opposite.
Okay.
We're doing the opposite. I mean, we're doing something, like we're saying something connected. We try, instead of the opposite, we try to connect.
But even the opposite is a connection, realize, right? It's we're still using our logical brains to come up with a word that's related to, there's a relationship between them. And what this game is about turning off the sensor and saying anything that comes to mind. I really recommend playing this with a 5-year-old. It's amazing. They're so good at it, and it's really good practice for this lunar thinking. So, did anybody come up on a moment when you were just like at a loss for words? Like, So that has a scientific name because it happens to all of us. It's called a brain fart, right? And it happens. Why do you think that happens? Thinking too much. We can't turn this thinker off, right? And why is it so hard to turn the thinker off?
Well, we're filtrating sometimes what we're saying, so there's we're holding back sometimes of what's really happening because we're scared, maybe fearful of the response.
Right.
That's my experience.
Right. And so what happens is that we have various blockages that keep us from really engaging in lunar thinking. And lunar thinking is critical to creativity. Lunar thinking is the time when we get to turn our judgment off and play and expand and dream and create possibilities. If we don't do this, it's like we can move forward, but we're taking incremental steps. Incremental steps, one in front of the other, logically thinking about moving forward. And when we dream, it enables us to leap, bound, fly forward in ways that were unimaginable beforehand. Because it makes, neurologically what's happening is we're connecting unconnected thoughts in our brain through doing this. We're opening up the way that our pathways happen. So this is actually a neurological process that's very different from what we do when we're doing solar thinking, which is when we're being direct, judgmental. This is good, this is bad, this is better, right? All that is what we learn from about the age 5 when we learn that we have to sit down and do what the teacher says, right? Maybe younger if you were telling your little brothers and sisters that they had to sit down. So we start learning very early what we can and can't say, right? So when we talk about creative problem solving, we really, emphasize the importance of separating, giving time and space for both kinds of thinking. Who's ever heard of brainstorming? Now, brainstorming, my friend Tim Herson says, is like cholesterol. You've probably only heard of the bad kind, right? But there are two kinds, and there is a good kind of brainstorming. The issue with brainstorming is that we take it on, but we never really get to real lunar thinking, right? I'm in a brainstorming session and my boss called and I'm sitting and my boss is sitting next to me and I'm thinking what my boss is going to like if I say, and how am I going to say something that's going to make my boss look good so that they'll, right? Or me and my wife are brainstorming, and I don't want to say anything too out there because then she's going to get upset and we're going to go off on that fight that we always have. Or, there's like things that are going on that really prevent me from getting into this lunar stage. So that game is one of the ways that we can practice and at the same time warm up. Because it's a different neurological process, it takes some time to get our brain into that state. That makes sense? Any question about that separation? Have you ever tried to drive a car with one foot on the brake and one foot on the gas? When you were learning to drive? One foot on the brake and one foot on the gas, and you kind of lurch forward and back, right?
That's what my life was like.
So what we call it in our house, in our relationship, is don't solar my lunar, right? I'm thinking lunarly, and actually we have a retreat center together that I facilitated a process like this with my in-laws and our family to figure out the way we wanted to build this, envision this retreat center, and one of the first. Well, it was a step along the way, but each step we do this lunar and solar thinking. We're thinking about, okay, we want to have people here. Where do we want the people to stay? What do we want them to stay in? And so we're thinking about ideas, and we're thinking, we want them to stay in spaceships. We want them to stay in cabins. We want them to stay in teepees. And her mom jumps in, and she solars my lunar, and she says, teepees? No, that's not going to work. It's too wet here. And so, okay, we push back. In our yoga business that we have, our yoga school, we actually, when we have board meetings, we have a little like lavender spray. Whenever anybody says no, and during a lunar session, they get sprayed. Okay, right, jumping back into lunar, right? So there's just some of the ways that we can get it. So we get Mary, we get her mom back into the lunar phase, and we say, okay, teepees. Oh, we could do yurts. Yurts. Oh, we could do, okay, let's check out yurts. We like yurts, let's check it out. So we kind of liked the idea after we got all the ideas on the board. We got back to the solar part, and we're like, okay, actually these yurts are kind of a good idea. We never would have gotten to yurts if we hadn't gotten past the teepees. Does that make sense? Yeah. So even though the teepee was like a wild, crazy idea, it got us to a new place because we were open to it. And now we got to that new place, and we researched it for a little while, and found out that they were expensive to make. There wasn't really any producers near us, and it wasn't going to work. So we went back to cabins. And we were designing our cabins, but meanwhile, Jesse's cousin was really into yurts. He actually started building one. We were thinking about them. We went to a festival where she was selling her fair trade Mayan Guatemalan products, and a woman came into our booth and tried on these boots that are like fabulous and was like, oh my God, these are amazing. I don't have any money to pay for these right now. Can I trade a stay in my yurts? We're like, this is something that's in our brain, right? You can talk about like the law of attraction, bringing this into our space. Yurts? What do you mean? That sounds great. Yeah, we got all these yurts. Actually, are you interested in buying a used yurt? Oh, okay. So we built a new cover, sewed them in, and now we have 6 yurts in our retreat center. So this is just one example of the way that really being open to this lunar thinking for a time can get new places and get new things in lots of different ways we don't expect, ways that we don't really know. That make sense? Power of lunar and solar thinking? First objective achieved? Great. So now I would like to move on to the next one, which is trying to identify some specific blockages in your lunar thinking process. So we're going to do an activity where you're going to work with the same partner, and you're going to I'm going to give you time, and for 2 minutes, Jessie's going to say nice things about herself to me. Only nice things about herself during 2 minutes, not stopping. And I'm just going to sit quiet and listen to her, provide an open space to listen intently to what she's saying. Okay? And then I'm going to let you know to stop, and then we're going to switch, and I'm going to say nice things about myself to her. Right? So this is a lunar exercise, right? We have a limitation. We're not allowed to say bad things. But within the good things, we're allowed to be lunar, right? Where anything goes. You can say, like, I have really pretty toes. I pet this stray dog yesterday. It was really nice. Whatever it is that comes to your mind that's nice about you, you're going to say it to your partner. So to get into this mind state, I'm going to ask that you play free words for about 30 seconds, I'm going to let you know when to stop and switch into the activity. Does that make sense? So the first 30 seconds are just going to be free words back and forth, the same game we played earlier. And then I'm going to say, okay, time, begin, and you're going to play the game. The free words at the beginning is going to help you get into that neurological state of open, free thinking, lunar. And then we're going to move into this saying nice things about myself to the person in front of me. Cool? Okay. Get back with your partner again and start the free words.
Got it.
Try shaking your hands while you play. Great. Now the person with the shorter hair is going to start saying nice things about themselves to the other person. And begin.
Really nice to my grandmother. And then my grandma, I'm really like this all the time when I'm looking for my hair grows way fast. I have small feet.
I love working with kids.
I'm good to my friends. I'm very supportive of my friends. I've always trying to realize that I have a really good relationship with my
enthusiastic, making a difference, changing the words.
It's really hard though. It's just really like weird to feel.
Besides the energize the brain.
I like that. I like that.
Right.
Keep going. Shake your hands if you can't think of anything. You're halfway there.
Shake. Then I bring them good ideas.
Okay, time's up. All right, listener, you're going to use your eyes, only your eyes, to thank the person for sharing this much about themselves with you. And now you're going to switch, and the other person gets to share. And begin.
almost every single exercise because then you can always do your best, you know, and then you can we can do the best out and if you teach you I'm flexible. I love travel. For me, it's like good at
Okay, you're halfway there.
I love I also love to inspire others. Then I love to for hours see what time is right. I love writing and I love sharing my expertise.
Okay, time's up. Again, listener, use your eyes. Thank your partner for sharing. And I would like you to take a moment, just a few minutes, to talk amongst yourselves as a partner about that activity. What came up for you, and remember, we're using that activity as a way to help identify blockages that we might have to free and lunar thinking. So think about that and sort of reflect with your partner about the activity.
And I don't give myself credit. I think it's more, I'm confident, but I don't take credit. Like if I do something well, I'll be like, oh, but this lucky, or like, oh, this happened, I won't be like, I got that.
Even though you know deep down or deep inside, that's a good deed in your part time, right? How did you find it?
Okay.
Oh, the experience.
Come back in. I want to hear. Come on, everybody, come back. My favorite thing when I'm facilitating a workshop is when people don't pay attention to me. That lets me know that I'm doing my job well. So when I was 3 or 4 years old, my parents had recently divorced, and my older brother and I would spend weekends with my dad at his house. And my dad was pretty depressed at the time. I can understand that now myself better after having a divorce. And I just remember one time, my brother and I were at his house. You know, it was playful. I felt a fart coming on, which, as you know, for a 3 or 4 year old is like really funny, right? So it's like, you know, this is going to be great. Everybody's going to laugh. And it came out a little more substantial than I was imagining it was going to come out, right? And so my dad's reaction was pretty harsh. Again, I don't blame him. I understand exactly where he was coming from, right? He was depressed. He was like not living at his house. My brother and I were visiting. Didn't have a change of clothes. He had to send me back to my mom literally with my pants shit, right? So I understand the reaction, and it created a belief in me that I had to hide my mistakes, that my mistakes were going to be judged in a way that was so harsh that it was going to hurt, right? And he didn't hit me. Thankfully, my dad wasn't hit, but it was just such a a verbally violent thing that it really scared me. And it's something that I still deal with today, of like being able to really learn from my mistakes rather than like try to hide them or push them off on somebody else or pretend like it was on purpose. So that's something I'm still working through. And I'd like to hear from you ways in which you may or may not have discovered something about yourself in this very brief little activity that we just did. About any blockages you may have realized to lunar thinking.
I've always tried to play down achievements and what I can do and have done. So just back and forwards. I got to a point in like blocked because I didn't want to start doing more because it sounds like you're almost picking yourself up or bragging. And I've always tried to, and even like now we live in rural France where ours was the biggest house we just done up, and we're always trying to play our urban. We don't live there; it's for the guests. We want to live in a little shack on the side, and it's always just trying to not stand out from everyone else and trying to make yourself normal, if you will. And so it's really hard to keep on going through that and actually get past the superficial things about yourself to the real you. So almost the facade breaking through.
Can you repeat that last part instead of saying you, say me?
Me. So sorry. So it was really hard to actually break through my facade and get to the real me, as opposed to just what everyone thinks or everyone else would like me to be.
Thanks, Kevin. Anybody else have anything they'd like to share?
I think I had a similar issue.
Sorry, your name again?
Kat.
Kat.
And I was completely blocked and didn't know what to say because I didn't want to come across as arrogant or too overconfident, and as a result I came across as really underconfident because I couldn't say any of the actual nice things about myself. I was saying silly stuff instead, like I have nice feelings or something, because I just felt like it would be, I felt like it would be, rude and overconfident, and like I was boasting if I was talking about the actual things that are nice about me or good things that I've done. And it made me realize, that's something I do all the time. Or I make a joke about it instead. So if someone compliments me on something, I'll downplay it in a joke.
Thanks. Welcome to the club. And again, this is really just a brief session, and I hope that it gives you some curiosity into understanding what may be blocking your ability to come up with ideas. Because as we all know, the more ideas we have, the better ideas are going to come out from it. And when you're flowing, you're getting more ideas in a short period of time. And that's what it's about. Because when you block down, we go slower and we get less ideas, and with less ideas, they're not going to be as good ideas at the end. So it's not that you have to choose all of the ideas, it's just getting ideas out there. That's what this is about.
We had an interesting realization that all of the things that were good about ourselves, we sort of come to the conclusion that they're typically female aspects. It's like relationships and communication and nurturing and nature, and we just wondered whether that was, we're focusing on all of that as women, and not allowing ourselves to access something like a CV kind of resume, I'm great at this and this and this, and being a little bit more assertive and directive with what we are good at. They're very sort of,
general. Nurturing,
which is great. That's just something we together we realized. So.
That's a beautiful reflection. Did you want to say something?
Oh, no, there was a fly.
The fly was speaking.
Well, anyway, I realized the first thing I said is like something about my family, which I think is something I like about myself because I want to make my family happy, my harmony, I want to make people happy, and it is hard to it's like I feel weird to say nice things about myself because it's like, am I bragging or especially I think in Asian, maybe I don't know, but when I heard from others as well, we have that tendency not want to say nice thing, or we think first like whether this is really true about ourselves, is this 100% always every day like that? We question everything about ourselves when we want to say it to ourselves. And I do realize like, you know, the self-love, self-compassion is something that it's been like, you know, maybe sometimes I ignore myself. Yeah.
Thank you. And in a room of almost all women, shouts out to the men. This is something that I've found is that in particular women have difficulty with self-esteem. I mean, men, we have our own issues. I'm not saying that we don't. And the societies that we live in tend to make it harder for women. I do a lot of work in Guatemala where the Mayan women have layer upon layer upon layer of stories told about who they are and who they can be. And these beliefs end up manifesting themselves in the possibilities that they're able to achieve. And if you don't imagine it, it's never going to happen. If you imagine it, it may happen, or it may not, right? We talked about our dreams, which some of them happened, some of them didn't, yet we were imagining them, right? And if we talk for a little longer, I'm sure we could get to a clarity around something when you were 13 that you remember really wanting, whether it was to have a happy family of your own, where this didn't happen, or whatever it was at that point. You had dreams, right?
I remember being travel when I was about 15, but that was to escape the family.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, here you are in Bali, right?
Was to travel, yeah. I stepped into Australia and never really looked back.
And so this is really important work, and it's not something that's going to happen in an hour, where we really get to reprogram and drop some of these limiting beliefs that are blocking our ability to really expand our possibilities. So thanks for going a little bit deep with us and your partner in this session. And the last thing I wanted to do, I mentioned backwards design. Has anybody ever heard the term backwards design? So backwards design is an aspect of design thinking. Has anybody ever heard of design thinking? So design thinking is a little more popular. Has anybody ever heard of the scientific method? Everybody's, no, the scientific, you have, I'm sure you have. It's the way that scientists disprove a hypothesis, right? They set up this method by which they have a control experiment. They use the method to disprove a hypothesis. And that's the way we get to scientific discovery, by disproving this and disproving this and disproving this. Oh, it must be this, right? So that's really useful for scientific discovery. It's not very useful when we're designing a vision plan. It's not very useful when we're designing a building. It's not very useful when we're designing an art project. So about 20 years ago, the guys at IDEO, which is a company that designed the mouse and lots of other products and processes in a more corporate setting, decided that they were going to put down on paper into a methodology what they were doing. And the Stanford Design School is one of the places where this happens a lot. Design thinking is to enable us to methodically move from empathic understanding of the needs of things toward creative solutions for those, right? And the way that it happens is by moving backwards, right? Our tendency is, as I was saying at the beginning, to jump into solutions. Whereas in reality, sometimes what we need to do is take a step back. And when Jesse and I and 6 other of our friends formed the Kula Collective, which is our international yoga school, which is why we're here in Bali, because we just led a 200-hour teacher training at Cher's beautiful place over in Canggu. And we came together because we weren't happy with what we were doing. A lot of the friends were teaching at different schools and just really unsatisfied with the experiences. And we got together, we wanted to form a yoga school. And they wanted to call it Kula. So my recommendation was, okay, wait, hold on. Before we go there, let's really take a look deeply at what our criteria for success are. Let's build a vision based on understanding what the challenges in our current reality are, so that then we can use those to develop something new. And what ended up coming out of that is that we made clear that one of our values is respectful relationships. And so in our business now, we ended up forming a yoga school called Kula. Like, we couldn't move out of that. And within that solution, we use that value of respectful relationships in that we as a board make decisions using consensus. So if everybody doesn't agree, we don't do anything. Makes things a little slow, and it means that we really have to work on our relationships, because if the relationships aren't working, we can't move forward. And so that puts the relationships first. That's one of the ways that we design backwards. We said we want this to reflect this value, right? Another value that we reflect is the idea that we want freedom and abundance for all. Since we formed the school, 2 other schools by people that were in that meeting have formed with our blessing. You know, they've got their own idea and their own vision of how to do things, and that's great. So now there are 3 yoga schools which are bringing this idea of helping people awaken their passions and live their purpose in the world and spread love instead of just 1. And that means more people get to experience this, and it fills our vision. So this is a way in which the design process follows the clarification of our vision and our values. Does that make sense? So I'm going to do with you all today the first few steps of this process. And the first step is actually building yourself up, helping the self-esteem, getting into this creative place. So that's the activity that we just did, right? And then the second step is to look really deeply at the challenges that you're facing. So I invite you to write in your journal. If you're a person that types or however you want to jot down, we're going to take 3 minutes to brain write, which means you don't stop writing. If you run out of things to say, you write the last word you wrote over and over again. And I recommend doing this on paper because of the tactile experience of doing it. So you're just going to write over and over again challenges you're facing in your life. Try to be as lunar as possible about this. So everything you can think of that represents a challenge for you right now in your life, write it down. Again, whether it's a hangnail, whether it's a high rent in the place you live, whether it's heat or whether it's coolness. Anything that comes to mind, challenge yourself to write it down and not censor it. And again, if you run out of ideas, just write the last thing you wrote over and over again.
If you need extra paper, raise your hand.
Need a pen? Oh, not a,
Yes.
uh-huh. One sheet might not be enough, so don't be shy. One more pen? One of your challenges is that you don't have a pen to write with right now, right? Sorry?
It's not working.
Not working? Oh no. Do you have another pen? Talk about challenged. All right. Couple more minutes and really let it flow. Everybody write 17 more things. All right, unfortunately, we're going to have to cut this lunar session a little bit short. So just finish what you're writing there. And again, according to the neurological studies of these processes, it takes technically 30 minutes to really move into a lunar process. So one of the great ways to do that is taking a walk. Bodily movement is great. Until it's not, or for everyone except those who it's not good for, right? That's the thing about creative processes, is that they're different for everybody. You might have way more ideas when you're sitting in the dark at your desk at like 3 a.m. That might be your thing. Or you might, have better ideas when you're in nature, or when you're in the middle of a festival of dancing. Like whatever it is that inspires you to this, just kind of recognize that in yourself and put yourself in those situations when you need to be doing this kind of thinking. So from the list that you have in front of you, I would like you to, so now this moves into the solar stage, right? We're going to pick from this list one challenge. And it can be something new that comes out of the challenges that are there, or it can be something that's on there. It's tricky. Often in a good brainstorming session, you'll have lots of crazy ideas, and then you'll move to the solar phase, and it'll be like, oh, let's just pick the safe one, right? And you pick the same thing you would have picked anyway. So picking something out there, it's easier to pull a crazy idea down to earth than it is to give wings to a mundane idea, right? So this can be a tricky phase. We're gonna kind of steamroll through it today, again, just for time's sake. So I'm going to ask you to pick a challenge on there that is important to you, that you have impact over, or the ability to affect, to change, and that requires imagination to solve. So if one of my challenges that I have a hangnail, the easiest way for me to solve that is to get a pair of nail clippers and clip my nails, right? It doesn't require a lot of imagination. I'm not going to pick that challenge. We're looking for a challenge that really requires imagination to go through this whole process with, right? So try to choose a challenge on you, again, that's important, that you have impact over, and that requires imagination to solve.
Is that the third step of practice design?
Yeah, you could say this is phase 2 of the second step, or like phase 2 of 1B, or yeah, I do a lot of this coaching individually, and steps tend to vary according to the individual experience of people. When I do them with groups, it's a little more set, but actually, depending on the group and how much time we have, it varies as well. But yes, generally, challenge is the first step, to identify the challenge. And then we do that first part of kind of opening up the heart and engaging in a little self-esteem work before the challenges. Otherwise, it can get kind of heavy, jumping right into challenges. So the second part of that is to choose a challenge to work on. My friend Tim Herson, who does productive thinking, has a book called Think Better, which a lot of these ideas are very similar to his ideas. He calls it the itch. What's your itch, right? Defining your itch. What itch are you going to work on? So once you define that challenge, I invite you to put your pen down and come to a comfortable seat. And I'm going to ask my beautiful wife, who's going to lead you through a little bit of a visioning session related to that challenge that you've just defined. Okay.
All right. Jessie. So I invite us all just to close our eyes. Find any way you want to sit comfortably. And we've just gone through quite a process. Right? We've opened up everything we love about ourselves, everything that we want to bring gratitude to. Maybe we felt some blockages in that. But still, that's the process of exploration of opening. And then opening deeper, we dive into the challenges. So maybe that carries a different feeling in your body. So still going lunar there, though on a different energetic vibration. And then going solar on the challenge and choosing one challenge. And if you haven't chosen that challenge yet, I invite you to, you can, if you need to open your eyes and look at your list again, that's fine. And just be sure that you have that challenge in mind, whatever it is. Again, the challenge that it's important, you have impact over it, and it requires imagination. And so important in these challenges also is that we don't get stuck in the challenge, right? If we get stuck in the challenge, we just get stuck in the wheel. We continue to just start thinking about this challenge. So we're going to take this thinking down into our body, into feeling. We talk about sometimes mindfulness and having less mind and more fullness in that experience. So I invite you to have this challenge in mind, and then in whatever way you feel is best to blow away, burn away, wash away, whatever it is, this challenge, allow it to release from your energetic presence and feel your life without this challenge existing. If this challenge was not a challenge, if it doesn't exist in your energetic field, in this present moment, this challenge is not there. And I invite you to go deep into what you can imagine and what you can envision your life to be. Free of this challenge, open and empty to fill with infinite possibility. And as you begin to vision this life without this challenge, I invite you to go into it. What does this space feel like? What do you see? Look in detail, look closely. What's around you? What are you able to surround yourself with? What people, who is in your life? What relationships blossom and cultivate when this challenge doesn't exist? What things are around you? What place are you in? What places are around you? Maybe there's movement, maybe there's stillness. Really set this setting, set the scene for where you are. What do you smell? What does this vision taste like? What does it feel like from the external and internal standpoint? What dreams are you able to create and open with this space that's created from releasing this challenge? And again, go in deep. What are the details? And it's important when we look around at this vision that we're creating, again, it's not about solutions. It's not about how we got to this place. It's about what this place is. So look around at all that surrounds you, all that you feel, you taste, you touch, you smell, and give gratitude to all that's there. And then give gratitude to yourself for bringing yourself to this place, for doing this work, for taking these steps, for being here now, for opening your mind to envision this, for taking this step into the unknown, for trusting in the lunar, for trusting in the expansiveness. And very gently begin to step back into this present moment. And bring back to mind this challenge that you released. And give gratitude to this challenge. Because as these are challenges in front of us, as we are working to release them, we are also learning from them. We are gaining the lessons and the wisdom that this experiences are offering us. And it's those lessons and it's those experiences and that wisdom that takes us to this place of where the challenge does not exist. So it's such an important part of this whole process is that gratitude. And take a deep inhale. Exhale out the mouth. I'd like to keep your eyes closed here. I'd like to teach you an asana, a yoga posture, comfortable and easy posture. This is a bit technical, so I'll explain here. We're going to engage the muscles which are right underneath our cheekbones. And as we inhale, we'll begin to lift the edges of our lips. And as we exhale, maybe the bottom lip opens, maybe the teeth show a little bit. Feel these edges of your cheekbones lift up, corners of your mouth open. Exhale out the mouth. This asana has a mantra. The bija sound is ha. You repeat it. Sounds like this. Ha, 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 ha. This is called smile asana. And it's always important to smile, give gratitude, and be in this space of dreaming and openness. And when you're ready, you can gently open your eyes again.
Thank you. Hi. Welcome back. Everybody's got a little twinkle in their eye. Looks like you came back from a nice place. So, was it hard to focus on your vision without thinking about how you were going to get there? Or did that just flow? Great. That's the process. Getting clear on that. And then the next step in the process is to get even clearer, to develop really clear success criteria of, okay, we just had this vision. What was in it? Write it down. What are the criteria for my success? I like to do a 90-day plan. So this vision you have might be like a year or 20 years, or it might be like the horizon. I like to think of the vision like a horizon that's always in front of us. No matter how far we go, there's always farther to go to get there. I like that idea of a vision as something that's always drawing us forward. So you would write out a sentence that describes your vision, and then the next step would be to say, okay, 90 days, this is what's going to happen. And you give yourself that clarity. And again, that's backwards design. We still don't know how it's going to happen. We haven't even started to get into solutions, but we've clarified what our criteria for success are. So we're at the end of our time, unfortunately. I'd love to keep going on this process. And in my experience, I found that this process requires space. So we've just done a lot of really intense work. And when I do coaching, I try to spread it out. When I do sessions with teams or businesses or community organizations, like have weekly session, so that there's time in between the sleep and dream. In the creativity world, we call it incubate, which is to let these unrelated and unassociated things come together in new and unexpected ways. And that happens when we're not thinking about them directly. That's our subconscious that we started to tap into with our lunar thinking here. And sitting in a room together with limited time, we're only going to get so far in that. So this is a process that really takes some time. I would like to invite you all to a retreat that the three of us share. And actually, Sheridan, you didn't introduce yourself. You came a little late. So please share your name, and what you dreamed of being when you were 13.
My name is Cher, and when I was 13, I dreamed of being a singer.
There's lots of singers in the room, isn't
It's about expression, though.
Yeah.
It's all about expression, I think.
Maybe we'll have to sing a closing song.
Singers and musicians.
I've got a really fun closing song.
Great. So before we close, I'd just like to see if there are any questions that anybody has.
You were just talking about the retreat that you had.
Yes. So we'll hand out. These are like $100 off for our co-working crew discounts. It's August 8th to 11th. It's down at beautiful Kurakura yoga retreat on the beach in Canggu. It's a really beautiful place. We just spent 25 days there, and we had a group of 10 students, and all 10 of them gave it a 10 out of 10 in their ratings. So it's amazing vegan and vegetarian food cooked by a really beautiful Balinese kitchen goddess, and then just it includes a massage. It includes the entire process of this. So you will come out of these 3 days with a robust and complete 90-day plan towards moving towards the vision that we end up creating.
You stay in Europe?
I'm sorry?
That's in Tennessee.
Sorry?
You'll have to come to Tennessee to stay in the yurt with us, and you're welcome to do that. Yeah, and so that's then. There's also online coaching that I do via Skype, and I'm putting this process also online as a self-guided process. It's not there yet. Take care of the kids.
The kids, yeah.
All right, tell them we said hi.
Thank you, guys. See you when you're back.
So yeah, that's happening. Please send me an email. I'll put my email up here. And are there any other questions?
Can you just, I know it's on Facebook, but I haven't actually looked at the details. Can you just give us a quick overview of the retreat?
Yeah.
Is it this in kind of expanded in more depth?
This is expanded in depth. Cher and Jesse are both beautiful yoga teachers, and so there's going to be some yoga to help, expand this possibility of getting into a lunar state through breath work, meditation, morning asana. We'll spend time in nature on the beach doing meditations, doing different. I play capoeira, so I'll probably do some capoeira. Thank you. Some capoeira playing, and yeah, at the end of this process. So yeah, identifying challenges, clarifying vision, success criteria, coming to a very clear question that's going to drive the process forward. Often we jump into solutionizing without really considering the question, and that can lead us to answering the wrong question. And finally, so really doing some supercharged brainstorming to come up with lots of really lunar ideas, and then some very intentional solar processing to take those crazy ideas and figure out what the underlying principles are, so that we can merge them, we can give them wings and make them actually things that we can achieve over the next 90 days. And then creating that 90-day plan. And then we'll have some ceremony involved as well, so that there's an actual spiritual intention setting and moving forward with that.
And one other thing that Zach mentioned was the importance of creating space within this process. And so
Yeah.
by doing it over the course of several days and engaging in lots of different activities, the free words is just one lunar activity. He has a whole
I like games.
tons of games in his mind. He just brings out so ways that we can get into our creative bodies in different ways, that new ideas come up that we never would have brought to ourselves before.
So you're saying that after the 3 days or 4 days, whatever it is, you come up with a very clear vision about what you're going to do in your life and where you're going, and a real plan about to make it tangible. Is that what you're saying?
That's the
I'm
goal.
just checking. I mean, that's what you.
Yeah.
The 90-day action plan.
That's our promise.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the idea is like the same way we set goals this morning, very clear goals. You know, we wanted you to understand the power of solar and lunar thinking. We wanted you to identify some of the blockages. And we wanted you to start to understand the importance of backwards design, of really looking at the context before jumping into solutions. So the same way that we do that, we'll very intentionally design this time based on who's there and based on the flow to really get to that point. And that's.
How many people roughly do the course?
We limit it. It's very intimate. So 8 is probably our maximum. We may have as many as 10, but it's really, I mean, there's 3 of us, and we'll have one-on-one check-ins throughout, and really supporting people to. I mean, it's really our vision in this world is to create more people that are living their passions and that are creating abundance so that abundance can be shared. And we all want to be abundant so that we can share it. I mean, that's why we're here. That's why we're doing. That's what I mean. I assume that's what you're seeking, right? I mean, and that's what this is about. It's about empowering you to make this a reality. And the more people in the world are doing this, the better world we're going to have.